I'm Graham,
And I'm Corinne,
and
and we
we're
are too
too
talented.
talented. Yeah, had an itchy trigger finger and hit the record button early. We're going. We're
Itchy
going.
trigger finger.
Itchy trigger finger.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Too Talented podcast where we talk about hiring, recruiting, the job market, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's it going, Graham?
It's going good. It's going good. Work has been busy.
Yeah, we took a little bit of a break because we were in Ouray for a number of weeks.
Which is in Southwest Colorado.
Yes.
And that was great.
Ouray, Colorado.
We were there for the 4th of July, which was fun. I think we recorded one of our first episodes last year down there.
Oh, yeah.
I actually
in
recorded
the
a
basement
couple.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then in an RV as well.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, kind of funny. But yeah.
Has it been a year?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, huh? It's been more than a year.
Wow. Yeah,
so
that's
pretty
wild.
Yeah. Unfortunately, even though we took a bit of a quote unquote break, I worked like 11-hour days.
We took a break from the pod.
We took a break from the podcast. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I still ended up working a lot down there. But such is life when the business is rolling, which it seems to be at the moment.
Yes. You told me a while ago you were not happy with how busy it was. Now you're overly busy.
Now I'm not happy with how busy it is.
Exactly.
But that's good. I mean, I was able to bring on a part-time basis a recruiter who used to work for me, and he's great. And it's great to be able to have someone on a part-time basis as I get busier. So that's been good. And, I think in May, June, it was more contract business that was coming my way. And then I worked on a retained HR role, which was cool to kind of have both of those because they're kind of different processes for recruiting. So it was fun to be able to do that and get that filled, and was able to do it with someone who was hyper local, lives about a mile from us.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So kind of a cool thing. I didn't expect to do that, but just kind of happened that way. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah, and you made the placement before you even got paid the retainer on it.
Yeah, which is wild. It's never happened, especially in a role that high level. Usually it's a very in-depth process, and it was just, they condensed it very significantly kind of with my help because the candidate had another opportunity. So yeah, it was.
Our dog has decided to join us. Hello, dog.
Hello, dog.
Would you like to say hi to the audience? Come on, up here. Hello. All right. Pacer.
Big dog.
Sense of urgency. Yes.
Yep.
Well, how's running going?
Pretty good. I ran the 100K back in June, and I had a little bit of a longer recovery. And then down in Ouray, we ran this 17-mile run with 5,000 feet of climbing, and I think it put me in a little bit of a hole. So now I'm kind of digging out of that hole. So yeah, it's going fine. I just need to kind of get through recovery and then get back to kind of normal training.
Yep. Always nonlinear. I coach a 19-year-old we've talked about who just ran his first 50-miler. And I told him in his log, even though you feel great a few days afterwards, you might have some days when you don't feel great because it's very nonlinear, especially after your first ultras. And I saw in one of his runs recently, he's like, "Oh, Coach Corinne was right. It's nonlinear. I didn't feel very good today, but that's great to know that that's normal." So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of different systems repairing all at once.
Yeah, for sure. Well, how's running going for you?
It's going good. I am trying to prepare myself for a gigantic loop around Mont Blanc in end of August, UTMB Mont Blanc, and a 100-miler. So it was great to be in the San Juans. My coach, Megan, said that's the best place to train for UTMB in the States. So lots of steep climbing. I didn't get quite as many miles as I had hoped, but I got plenty of climbing, 2 back-to-back weeks of around 12,000 feet of climbing. And that was those 2 weeks landed on 6 weeks or so out from the race. So now or 7 weeks out from the race. So now I'm 5 weeks out from the race.
Mm-hmm.
So I still have 2 or 3 weeks of some good training. So it's going well. My body's holding together, a little bit sore. But that's to be expected. So just trying to stay consistent and get good climbing, and had kind of a confidence inspiring run yesterday we did a night run, and I felt really good on the climb at the end of it. It was only 10 miles, but I felt like I had actually gotten some fitness from all that climbing work. So yeah, it's encouraging. Just gotta also start wrapping my mind around 100 miles.
30 hours. Long time to run.
Yes. But it's in a very, very beautiful place. It's a very cool opportunity to be able to do it. And, there's tens of thousands of people who are like spend their life trying to do this race. So
Yeah,
got to take advantage of the opportunity as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we'll jump in to the topic. So today we're going to be talking about references. Kind of who to choose, how to prepare them, understanding kind of references that maybe you don't provide that still get checked, which we'll call the backdoor reference. Also, maybe things to do if you are asked to be a reference.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple of just things there.
Nice.
So I think it's an important topic. I think your references, I've had them absolutely break the end of an interview process because the person who was chosen wasn't chosen well, or a backdoor reference happened where it just puts the kibosh on the entire deal. So it's really important from a candidate perspective to understand really, who to choose and what to do with them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the more senior the level, the more likely they're going to be references asked for or checked.
Yep.
I mean, you may see them at lower level roles too, kind of depending on the company policy, but it might be something that as you start to get into the interview process, if they don't bring it up, you ask. If you're in second or third round interviews, like, are you guys going to need references, just so that you can prepare those people ahead of time and kind of think through who you would ask and give them a heads up it might be coming.
Yeah, and to me, I would only want to provide references at the very end of the process, right when there maybe was a verbal offer
Oh,
that was
yeah.
done.
You don't need to do it earlier, but I was saying just ask if it's going to be part of the
Yeah.
final.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. But the risk of, sending your references too early or maybe having too many people call, your references could get worn out. If they get called 4 and 5 times, they might get tired of doing it and say, hey, look, I don't want to do this anymore. So making sure it's only at the very end of a process, usually, that you want to provide those references.
Yeah, what do you think about putting on your resume/CV references available upon request?
I think that's totally fine. Anytime I see people put actual references with actual phone numbers and contact information, I kind of raise an eyebrow because that's, giving out your kind of important people's information who could be called for a variety of different reasons, either business development or all kinds of things. So I would be pretty hesitant about that. But to your point, putting that statement on there, I think is very good.
I think it's nice because it's kind of like I've thought about this and I already, just so you know, I have people who can speak on my behalf, like in mind. And so I see it as a positive if I see that on a resume for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is who to choose. Who would you choose if someone were asking for references?
Well, I think if they give you carte blanche to provide whoever you want, you might ask them, do you want coworkers? Do you want managers? Do you want people that know me who I have not worked with? Because those are, I guess, maybe the three main categories I think of: people that you've worked under, people you've worked with, and people who know you outside of a work context. If I was given the ability to send whoever I want, I would do a combination, actually. I would probably keep it to people that know me professionally and
Me
have
too.
worked with me.
Yeah.
But I would do a combination, and I would maybe weigh it more heavily on, say I'm like a, I don't know, director, senior manager level person, even a senior VP. I would definitely include somebody I have worked for who can speak to my ability to do the job and who has managed me directly. I would also include a coworker because how you work with people on your team is pretty important. And I would maybe also, if I was a manager, maybe I include somebody who worked for me so they can speak
Yeah.
to my managerial style or my leadership style or skills, kind of
Yeah.
depending on the job. So I would say 3 is a good number. Maybe 3 to 5 max.
Yeah.
I would say like minimum 2,
Yeah.
but they're probably going to ask you for a certain number of them.
Yeah. I would guess that they have a number in
Yeah.
mind that they'll ask you.
Yeah. Who would you include?
Yeah, I would include definitely someone I reported directly to. Um, Also, you could have someone else, maybe who was above you, who was a peer of your manager,
Mm.
who you worked really closely with.
Like a
That,
matrixed really reporting relationship, or
yeah,
somebody like that was kind of a client of yours within the stakeholder within the company.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good one. I agree. A peer could be good as well. And yeah, if you're a leader, someone who reported to you could be good.
Yeah.
From a like a personal reference standpoint, like I don't put a whole lot of weight into personal references. I think they could be good, but then if they've never worked with you professionally, you may be different professionally than you are on a personal level.
Yeah.
So that may be hard for them to understand kind of how you would be. But I think one of the things that to be cautious of is someone who is like too high level, like who was maybe a couple positions above you. They may not be able to know you well enough to
Mhm.
speak really detailed about some of the things that you've done, even though their title may be impressive to put on as a reference.
Yeah.
You want to make sure someone can actually speak to your work and how you were with people. The I'm not sure or I don't really know can lead to a pretty flat reference.
Yeah.
So I think making sure that you worked very closely with this person is important.
And also think about the job that you are being hired for and who might know best how to speak to the skill sets that align to that. So if you've
Yeah.
had multiple job functions in the past, right? Say you're, I don't know, say you're within HR and you're applying or you're asked for references for a senior level recruiting role. Well, I don't think you need to want to give a reference on somebody who you worked with regarding benefits, like for, 3, 4 jobs ago. It's like, make sure the skill set that you're trying to add value and show it aligns to what those people are going to be able to talk about
Yeah.
in the work that you've done.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's important. I think also making sure when you talk to your references about being a reference for you, asking, hey, would you give me a good reference if someone called you? Making sure, point blank, ask them that question. There have been a number of times where I've called people who have given a mediocre reference. I've had people never had like a super bad one, but I've had ones where I hung up going, whoa, I don't want to use that reference at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So making sure you ask who you're talking to, would you give me a good reference?
Yeah.
And I've given references for a number of people that worked for me. And there have been a couple who have asked if I would be a good reference for them. And I said no.
Mm.
And I was very honest with them. So I think that, making sure you ask is really important.
Yeah, for sure. These should be the slam dunks. The backdoor reference is something that you can't control.
Yep.
And that's just I know from firsthand experience that it happens, especially the more senior and higher level up, that somebody in that organization is going to know or reach out to somebody that they know that you kind of worked under at some point in time.
Yep.
And hopefully they do it, it's not your current company because they don't want to breach confidentiality. But, you know, this is just why it's really important to maintain a good reputation within the professional ranks, is that you kind of need to assume at any point somebody might talk to somebody you've worked for in the past about you.
Yeah.
And just kind of generally ask, like, what did you think of this person? And I've definitely had instances where that also has come back as, no, you don't want to hire them for
Yep.
XYZ reason, behavioral stuff, or they were challenging. And so I think just, yeah, you could just give a heads up to people in your network when the time is right. If they're more than one job ago.
Yep.
Like, I'm being considered for a role. Just heads up, like,
Yeah.
you might be reached out to.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that can be the biggest problem with a backdoor reference is a lot of people leave organizations maybe not as well as they could have. Maybe they're leaving, so they leave a bunch of stuff on somebody, and that person gets, pissed that they have to do a bunch of extra work. So if they get called, maybe that's problematic, or, someone leaves abruptly, or there can be all kinds of things, but making sure that you think about as you leave an organization, you're making an impression on every single person there, and that's the impression that's going to last, is how you left. So it's really important to leave the organization well for the exact reason that a backdoor reference could happen. Has anybody ever called you for a backdoor reference?
I've been reached out to actually recently. I was going to talk to you about this. Well, for multiple, like, can you please weigh in on this CEO at a former company? And so it's not, I don't know what it is about, but I've not entertained or, those. And they're like, we'll pay you for your thoughts. I'm like, this is weird.
That is strange.
Yeah, super weird. So no, not really. I've definitely gotten a few times like, oh, what did you think of this person?
Yeah.
Just really casual, like, what did you think of this person, having worked with them? And so I think that's kind of a informal, like, but I don't know, just be honest about if you would actually like back someone. And then also, like, I think that the way that the references are checked, the questions that are asked, like, that's all pretty important, because at the end of the day, like, people have different personalities and they don't always get along with everybody. They have different styles. And so if you're checking a reference, really try to keep it to understanding, well, even if this is a negative, is this something that's actually going to negatively impact this person's ability to do the job?
Right.
Because it might not. It might just be a personality thing. So, like, trying to gear your questions, or even your answers, if you're being asked to give a reference, to the professional, abilities of that person, and not necessarily like, oh, they came in 5 minutes late to work every day. Like, I mean, that could be an issue, but I don't know.
Right.
Were they a super high performer?
Yeah, if they walked in and
10
crushed every day.
10 minutes late every day, then that's no big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I did a backdoor reference on a candidate a couple of weeks ago, where I was on a call with a leader at an organization, and I was interviewing candidates for this role I was working on. And so I just asked, hey, this person left your organization recently. What'd you think of them? And it was just a very short 2-minute kind of rundown, all super positive, but it gave me some confidence, like, great, to keep moving along with this person.
Nice.
But on the other hand, I had someone, and this was a long time ago, I had someone who worked for me who was very, very challenging to work with, and not someone I would have ever recommended, just because of some of the challenges that we had working together. And I had a person I used to work with who's saying, hey, I'm interviewing this person. What did you think? And so I wrote back, so it's just via text. I said, it'd be unprofessional for me to really weigh in on whether or not you should hire this person, but I would have a recommendation for you. And I just kind of sent that text, and he said, what would that be? And I just said, run.
So ouch.
Yeah. It happens in an informal way, or maybe a more formal way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So next topic is how to prepare your references. So the more information you can give the person about what the job entails. I recently gave a reference for someone who used to work for me who was A+. I was going to give them a great reference, but I had some questions. I was like, what's the role?
Yeah.
Who does it report to?
Yep.
What exactly? And it was for a recruiter role. I said, what are you going to be recruiting for? Give me as much detail as possible. That way I can kind of frame, your strengths appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And she was able to give me full rundown, sent me the job description even, so I could do that. And then I got a call and gave her a great reference, and she got the job. So she really did a good job of preparing me, and I asked her lots of questions about it. But I think that is the absolute right way to handle and prepare your references. Who exactly is going to call you? What company is it with? What's the title? Job description. That way, you've got as much information as possible.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's all good. So yeah, make sure that they are going to be available and they,
Yes.
are not on vacation for a week and a half, because
Yeah.
if they call your reference and they can't get a hold of them, doesn't look good.
Yeah, totally. There's been a number of times where there was like one reference that I felt like I had to get in touch with, and it was just it took me forever. And asking the candidate to provide, a different number or whatever to get in touch with this person, it's just not a great look. So making sure that the person is available, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And if there were a couple of jobs ago, you might even send them your resume so that they
yeah,
know what you've done recently. Like,
yeah,
that might be helpful, but I really like sending the job description so they know exactly what you're being considered for.
yep, for sure.
Just arm them with all that information. That
Absolutely.
leads into making it easy for them.
Yep. Yeah, and I think asking them what they prefer. I mean, most references want to be done by the phone. If there is a email option, let's say someone is traveling, and them being able to fill out the reference form, send it back would suffice.
Yeah.
Being able to find that out.
There's also systems, tools, platforms that I've seen this in the past where like maybe they're using a third-party tool that they've worked on. These are the questions that we're going to ask every single reference, and they automatically send that to the reference from their internal system. And so it is a list of questions that they fill out like in written form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just knowing kind of what it's going to look like or what that person should expect.
Yep.
Because I've seen that as well.
Okay. Absolutely. Let's see if there's anything else on here. What you can be doing, let's say you're in an active job search and you're going to let's say you're going to come down and you're going to get 3 offers. And you need to provide references for all 3 of them, which is kind of a crazy scenario, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure you mix up the references. Don't give the same person every time so they get 3 calls back to back, unless it's like your A+1 and they know that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, a manager A and a manager B, use manager A for 1 or 2 and use manager B for the other ones. So making sure that you mix it up so you don't wear anybody out.
Yeah, I think you can also think about, based on who you've interviewed in the company already, you can think about their personalities. Are they going to be talking directly to a manager, or are they going to be talking to a recruiter for this reference?
Yeah.
They're talking directly to a manager, like a manager might be good. If they're talking to a recruiter, I mean, maybe somebody who worked with an HR could be good. Like somebody who can relate to that person, who kind of aligns to their personality. Like you can think about that too. Who's a good fit for this company from a reference standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it depends like on who you're talking to. So let's say you're in talent acquisition and you're looking for another talent acquisition job. Using a talent acquisition reference is probably better than using an agency reference. Maybe you started your career in an agency and you have a manager there.
Yeah.
It could be okay,
Yeah.
but those 2 jobs are different enough that it may not work quite as well. So kind of being thoughtful about who you make your reference.
Yeah.
So another question that I was thinking about is a lot of people, obviously you would ideally like to use your current manager, right? If you're working for a company, you report to this person, they're going to have the most relevant, up-to-date information about your job done. But if they don't know that you're looking,
you do not give no.
Don't you don't want to let the cat out of the bag that you're looking. Man, we're talking about worst case scenario.
And don't give people that you're currently working with, even if they're like, oh, I like confidentially will. I don't think that's a good idea. That's super risky.
Yep, I totally agree. I think it's got to be a previous manager that you worked for.
What would you do if you'd been working at a company for like 15 years?
Try to find maybe someone who left.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yep. A previous manager who left.
Yep.
Or a coworker who
You'd
left.
think after 15 years, somebody has left.
That's good.
So someone like that might be good.
Yeah.
That could be a great opportunity.
Or a customer. Well, not if they're an active
Yeah,
customer, but a previous customer.
Maybe a previous customer.
Yeah.
Yep, that could be good.
Previous customer, client, kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, just somebody who you've worked with who's no longer there.
Yeah, for
or
sure.
no longer like a customer.
Yep. And I think one of the things that you can give your, hopefully future company a heads up on is, hey, I've worked here for 15 years.
Mhm.
I don't have very many people to go to for this because I can't give you my current people.
Yeah.
Just know that my list is going to be short. And that's a good excuse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So kind of moving into a little bit of turning the tables, what do you do if you're asked to be a reference? Have you ever given a reference for anybody?
I have. Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit already, so.
Yeah, if I'm asked to, I think, to your point, I want to know what they're applying for, where they're at in the process, maybe who they've talked to already, like, just as much as I can about kind of what's going on with the job search right then. I would love to see the job description. Love to know, are they going to have direct reports? Is this an individual contributor role? Those kinds of things. And then I might want to know a little bit about the company culture as well. Mm-hmm. How do they feel about, like, is culture super important? Like, maybe I would ask, do you have any idea what kind of questions I'm going to be asked? Mm-hmm. They may or may not. But I think one thing, if you're going to give a reference to think through, is not only the strengths of that person and making them look good, but be prepared for the question, what's something they could have improved upon? Yeah. What's something they didn't do great? Because you're probably going to get asked that, and you want to give, you don't want to just be like, they had no weaknesses. Right. There was nothing. They were amazing. They didn't do anything wrong. And I've heard that before. And I mean, I guess I will accept that as an answer, but at the same time, it's not because I'm trying to disqualify the person. It's just because I'm trying to understand, like, yeah, if there were any challenges, and if so, like, are those things that I feel like are going to be big, big hurdles for us and as a company. So think about what you could say around what that person could do better or could have done better, that doesn't, isn't going to make them look super bad, but also shows that they're a human being and they have everybody has faults. So yeah, I think that's one thing that you might just want to be prepared for to answer as a reference. And I think you're going to, 9 times out of 10, you'll absolutely get that question. Yeah. So being ready to talk to it, I think it's good. The biggest thing for me in my recommendation, if you're asked to be a reference, is if you can't give a great reference, tell them, hey, look, we had some challenges working together. I don't think I would be your strongest reference. There's got to be somebody else. That's a really good way to put it. I don't think I would be your strongest reference. It's a soft way to put, like, I don't want to give you I'm not going to give you a good reference. Instead, I don't think I'd be your strongest. I think you suck, and I definitely don't want to give you a reference. Go ask somebody else. So, but I think that is a really important thing. And I mean, does it mess up your relationship a little bit? Yeah, probably it has something to do, but you got to think about it like you could tank someone's opportunity to get a job when maybe they are really qualified for it. Maybe the company's a disaster and they need someone who's a little bit chaotic. Yeah. So yeah. It's not a direct employment reference, but I was asked to weigh in on a previous job that I had that people wanted to apply for. Yeah. And I kind of asked for your advice around this. I'm like, what do I tell them? Because I don't want to tell them negative stuff, and that's all I have to say. And you're like, just tell them you can't, you're sorry, you can't talk to them about it. And that should speak for itself. Yeah. And so, same thing here. Sorry, I can't. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to be a reference for you. Like, that says enough. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's kind of hard to do, but also they should maybe understand why that they, I don't know. They should have had a little bit of self-awareness in the first place to ask you if they know that you probably wouldn't be a great reference. Although it hasn't stopped people from asking. I know. I mean, I've had a few occasions where, on one especially, there was an occasion that came up where
there is absolutely no way I would give this person, and they should have known that.
Yeah.
And they still asked, and I was very, very straight with them. Like, I am not going to be a good reference for you. Please don't use me.
Yeah.
So, it's challenging, but you got to do right by them in that regard, even if they don't feel like it's the right thing at that moment.
Yeah, totally.
So common mistakes, and I've actually run into this a few times. And the most common thing is I call someone who got put down as a reference and no one talked to them about it, and they're taken aback. And those typically are either very short, because they weren't expecting it, so they don't necessarily have time to do this right now, which isn't a great sign, or they're kind of a lukewarm reference, which you don't really want. So that's the most common thing that I see happen is someone will put someone down without ever talking to them about it. Absolutely be sure that you're talking to people that you're putting down as a reference. Let's see.
Yeah, failing to prepare that person.
Yeah.
Spend some time. This is important.
Yep.
Get in touch with them. Give them a heads up. If you know when they're going to be contacted, let them know that. If not, just let them know where you're at in the process. Let them know who might be contacting them.
Yep.
All those things.
And then I think another thing is, if you are asked to be a reference for somebody and you really can't speak in detail about their work, maybe they were a level or two below you, maybe they were in a different part of the organization, you want people to be able to give detail. So if you don't feel like you can give detail, that'd be another reason. Like, let's say you really liked someone and all the experiences you had were great, you shouldn't have very many experience with them. Make sure you tell them that and let them know that you just can't provide enough detail to make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're gonna want specifics. Yeah, you want to have done very close work with them. I totally agree.
Yep. So to wrap up, I think, making sure that you choose references carefully. Don't use someone a million times where they get worn out. Talk to them and prepare them. And, make sure you ask, would you be a good reference for me? And then if you get asked by them to, or if you get asked to be a reference, making sure that you can speak well to someone's background, that you give them a good reference, or that you're honest with them that you can.
Yep. Totally.
Well, thanks for joining us again on Two Talented Podcast. We got through this one a little quicker than some of the others, but I think it was hopefully good information. And if you guys are listening to this and you've got a comment about a bad reference one way or the other,
or like a bizarre question you were asked in a reference,
totally, that would be great. What's the weirdest question you ever got asked during a reference? Yeah. Give us a comment.
Let us know, and hopefully this was helpful. But references are important. They can make or break the job at the final stage. And so, think through who are your biggest advocates and who can speak in detail to the work that you've done, and then stay in touch with them, give them a heads up. And if you're asked to be a reference, take it seriously and be upfront if you are not able to do it, or if you, just take it seriously as well, because it's an important thing, and you want to be professional in providing that reference also.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this or if you're listening to us, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Goodbye.